Wow, so it appears that Jordan Peterson is back in the news once again. So, yesterday, what was reported is that basically what's going on with Jordan Peterson is he has another book coming out. It's basically a sequel to the 12 Rules for Life. And so, what we know is Jordan Peterson went through a pretty big, bad situation. I guess he almost died because he got hooked on benzodiazepines. And we're gonna talk about that. But basically, I guess he increased his dose because his wife got diagnosed with cancer, and then he got addicted, and he went through a bunch of attempts to basically get off of it. So we're gonna talk about that soon, though. But this article headline reads Penguin Random House, which is a weird name. Staff confront publisher about new Jordan Peterson book. Um, so what it is I guess Random House is a company in Canada that's a book publisher. All right. So it says several Penguin Random House Canada employees confronted management about the company's decision to publish a new book by controversial Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson at an emotional town hall Monday, and dozens more have filed anonymous complaints, according to four workers who spoke to Vice World News. On Monday, Penguin Random House Canada, Canada's largest book publisher and a subsidiary of Penguin Random House, announced it will be publishing Beyond Order 12 More Rules for Life by Peterson to be released in March 2021. The book will be published by Portfolio in the US and Penguin Press in the UK, both part of the Penguin Random House empire. It says four Penguin Random House Canada employees who did not want to be named due to concerns over their employment said the company held a town hall about the book Monday, during which executives defended the decision to publish Peterson while employees cited their concerns about platforming someone who is popular in far right circles. Quote, he is an icon of hate speech and transphobia, and the fact that he's an icon of white supremacy, regardless of the content of his book, I'm not proud to work for a company that publishes him, a junior employee who is a member of LGBTQ community who attended the town hall told Vice World News. Another employee said, quote, people were crying in the meeting about how Jordan Peterson has affected their lives. They said one coworker discussed how Peterson had radicalized their father, and another talked about how publishing the book will negatively affect their non-binary friend. So, basically what's going on here is there are a lot of employees at this book publishing company that don't want it to be published. Now, there's a bunch of different things we have to talk about here. One of them is whether or not, Jordan Peterson should be prevented from publishing this book with this publisher. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I'd have to think about that more. One thing about, is Jordan Peterson an icon of white supremacy? I definitely would not go that far. Has he negatively affected trans lives by a lot? I would definitely agree with that for sure. He kind of came to prominence with Bill C-16 in Canada, which he totally misrepresented as some attack on free speech, which is total bogus. So he certainly has definitely negatively impacted trans people, obviously, right? The negativity that he showed towards them, inconsiderate, being inconsiderate, and it's just obvious, right? That kind of behavior will result in negative interactions towards trans people. It's going to basically sort of foster a hatred and general, inconsiderate behavior towards trans people. So that's undeniable to me. I wouldn't go as far to say he's an icon of white supremacy, and whether or not the book should or should not be published by the publisher, honestly, I'm not really sure. But I wanted to focus on something else. Okay, and it's just a big hypocrisy on the portion of Jordan Peterson. When you boil down Jordan Peterson's entire ideology, it really comes down to personal responsibility. Okay, so this is a guy whose response to anybody who wants systemic change, like for example, if you say, I really care about climate change, I want to see the world and more specifically our nation, whatever nation you're in, take more care with the climate and try to get to a green society, right? He will say, okay, well, do you drive a car? And then you'll probably be like, yeah, because most people drive cars. And he'll say, well, you figure out how to stop driving a car and doing something else first. But when it comes to an issue like climate change, it has to be a holistic movement to be able to actually solve it. Be kind of like, fighting the Nazis, and then somebody being like, man, we really gotta, beat the Nazis, and then Jordan Peterson be like, well, you should go off to war then. It's like, no, you have to have a holistic movement. So he's somebody who is all about personal responsibility and saying you get your house in order first before you tell other people what to do or advocate for anything. So who is a guy, under Jordan Peterson's worldview, who was a guy who just was addicted to benzodiazepines and nearly died? Who is he to give advice on rules for life for other people? He is a gigantic hypocrite. But the truth about Jordan Peterson really at the end of the day is the guy is a grifter and he is a lunatic. Now, why do I say that? First of all, the things that he says are really bizarre. He's also shown his heavy greed for money, extreme money grubbing. But he said crazy things. He thought that an ancient, like Chinese, it was like a painting or something of a double helix figure. He thought that those ancient Chinese people knew that was what DNA was when DNA was discovered in like the 1950s, which is hilarious, okay? It was literally just basically a painting of snakes fucking each other pretty much. He also claimed that drinking a cup of apple cider made him not sleep for an entire month. Obviously, if you were to take that the most literally, the record for not sleeping is 11 days. But when Joe Rogan presses him saying, really, you didn't sleep for 30 days? He says, yes. He keeps going. Also, he's a big-time scammer. I had done a video. You go check out the video yourself. He did this sponsorship with this fake college where there was this weird Peterson group or whatever that they were doing, and there was no clear degree or pathway or anything like that for an MBA or whatever they were trying to do, and it was very clear that it was a scam, and he was scamming his fans. Dude is a big-time grifter. He's a big-time lunatic as well. Makes completely absurd claims that he has no evidence for whatsoever. But under Jordan Peterson's worldview, he has no right to release this book. Nobody should purchase this book because he doesn't have his house in order. Now, this situation where he got hooked on benzodiazepines was very bizarre as well. And the reason why is because his daughter was doing some really, really bizarre stuff. And so this article basically is titled Drug Experts on Jordan Peterson Seeking Treatment in Russia for Benzo Dependence. So what she did was she took him to Russia to get help for his benzo addiction. So it says, while revealing that her famous father is physically dependent on benzodiazepine, by the way, physically dependent, I don't know what difference that makes, whether you're mentally dependent or physically dependent, it doesn't, it's like this weird attempt at trying to be like, he's not addicted, bro, it's a physical dependence, bro. As if being mentally dependent on drugs makes you any sort of like a lesser being. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make some kind of distinction, which is hilarious. It says, Jordan Peterson's daughter, Michaela, delivered a stinging rebuke of doctors in the West. But drug policy experts say some of her claims are dangerous and don't appear to be evidence-based. So he was hooked on, Xanax and Valium. But what's really weird, it says the article is based solely on Michaela's account, outlined a number of extreme circumstances and medical reactions that supposedly led Peterson to seek detox treatment in Russia. It says Peterson was prescribed a low dose of benzos in response to an autoimmune reaction to food. It says Michaela said her dad's dose increased when her mom was diagnosed with terminal cancer last April, and he developed a physical dependence on it. Says said her dad sought treatment in Russia in January, where he was put in an induced coma for 8 days, and quote, had the most horrific withdrawal I've ever read or heard about. So was put into a coma in Russia. But here's the really interesting part. Here's the most interesting part. Quote, he almost died from what the medical system did to him in the West. The doctors here aren't influenced by the pharmaceutical companies, don't believe in treating symptoms caused by medications, by adding in more medications, and having the guts to medically detox someone from benzodiazepines. And then it goes on to note how strong Russia's drug laws are. So, anybody who knows anything about benzodiazepines, I don't know why Jordan would be given benzos for anything long-term, because you're not supposed to be using benzos for anything long-term. Benzos are supposed to be very strictly short-term because they have a really short half-life, so you get withdrawals really quickly, and it's not something you want to get hooked on. So that was one bizarre thing. But if you know about benzos, the withdrawals off of benzos are fucking horrible. And so, especially if you're on it long term, you have to taper it down slowly. Anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows that. So she's lauding Russia for basically just being like, all right, we're just going to fully not give you any and just have you just go full on coma and just full detox. No sane human being would advocate or believe that a full on detox of somebody who has been taking benzodiazepines is a good move. And these are the kinds of weird things these motherfuckers be saying. And Jordan Peterson also says that her arthritis was cured by an all-meat diet. Absolutely no medical degree whatsoever. It's completely insane. And so there's doctors in here in this article, obviously, that explain, like, wait a second, what? What the hell are you talking about? That's incredibly dangerous. And so essentially, it seems like his daughter tried killing him, pretty much. That's essentially what you're doing. When you're trying to, quote, detox somebody by going cold turkey from benzos that you've been taking, what appears to be long term, it doesn't look like it's something that was short term, so I don't know why the hell he was given benzos. But you're gonna detox him? That's called trying to kill someone. That's what that's called. So I don't know why anybody would take advice from anybody this crazy. But according to Jordan Peterson's own worldview, which I don't advocate, I don't agree with. I don't think you have to be a perfect person to advocate for something. I think that's really stupid because nobody's perfect. Everybody has issues. And Jordan Peterson here doing this, it's blatant hypocrisy, man. Super hypocrisy. But he doesn't care. He's all about the money. He's all about that cash. He was making like $10 million a year. At one point, he's probably still making a lot, but I don't know how much he's making at this point. But he's all about the money, and really bizarre. He's crazy. He's a grifter. I wouldn't trust anything he says. And, most importantly, the guy's a pretty massive hypocrite here. And this whole Peterson family, they don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, if you're talking about trying to detox cold turkey from benzos, just that alone, I would never want to listen to anything that person would ever say at any point in time, ever. Seriously, that's that crazy. But when you combine, thinking that an ancient Chinese, painting is of two snakes fucking, they knew DNA back then, man. They definitely knew that shit when it was discovered like 70 years ago. Or thinking that you stayed up 30 days without sleep because you drank a glass of apple cider, or that, your arthritis was cured by an all-meat diet. All this kind of crazy shit. Why would you ever take one of these people's opinions seriously on anything? It's a genuine question, man. Serious, very, very serious question. I really don't understand it, to be quite frank with you.